Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit longer, but it was actually a little bit of fun to try this particular feat out. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So in this fight, of course, we recognize some of the more infamous boss fights out there in the Another Eden universe. These are the twins, which were unlocked after the second part of the Persona 5 collaboration, so to speak. And these were extremely difficult when they first came out in global. Part of the reason why is because, as you know, Japan and global both had it simul-released at the same time. And for that reason, they tuned the difficulty to what was available in Japan as opposed to what was available in global. So we didn't have the availability of shared Grasta, for example, some of the newer units out there. We were stuck with very little to work with, and I think the first few clears all took over 10 minutes, more than the 10-15 minute mark. A lot of them required top of the line meta units, gacha units, and it required a lot of thinking for global players to beat this particular fight. In my case, I actually had to wait a couple months to defeat this using, at the time, I think the collaboration from the Tales of. And so by that time, I did have two slash zone setters. Part of the difficulty was because the twins actually break zone each HP stopper, and there are 3 of them, each at a quarter mark, so to speak. And for that reason, very, very difficult to estimate exactly how much damage you are doing. I know that the HP is around 64 million, and so you have to kind of do 16 million per shot. Now, that being said, enough talking. We're actually trying to demonstrate solo Aldo with Ogre Rancorum Light Enhanced version, as well as Uquaji as a support unit. Now, if you watched my review on Uquaji, link will be in the description below. He does have a special unique ability where he can heal your front line as long as he's at the end of turn. And remember that healing is affected by not only equipment, but it can be affected by Grasta ore, such as things like Bullseye, which increases damage but also increases healing by 50%. There's the MP consumption Rose with Thorns ore that can increase damage but also increase healing by 15%. There are Grasta ore that increases restore heal amounts by 20%. There's a badge that also does the same thing. And finally, there is some time-twisted maze gear that enhances restore effects, which one of my subscribers did point out. And so after running a couple of maze runs and kind of specking out my Uquaji a little bit more, I decided to bring him in and see what kind of healing I can get, being that we already can control the fight with Origin Force. I believe there was actually a Japanese person who kind of pioneered this, where he or she only used solo Aldo, no support, to beat the twins. But I believe the fight was extremely long because you had to actually heal on your own and therefore mitigate things that way. In this case, being that we don't have any heal burden to worry with, essentially getting free heals, full HP heals every turn, we really don't have to worry about anything, and all we have to do is kind of make sure Aldo has enough MP. And as long as we have 3 Origin Force stacks on the enemy, and remember to cast that every 5 turns, part of the reason why this strategy works is because with Origin Force, you do get MP 20 recovery every turn as long as Origin Force is active, and you do have 5 turns where he also increases his power at the same time. If you don't have Origin Force up, you're going to essentially run out of MP, in which case you really don't have any chance of finishing this fight. And so a lot of times I was kind of wearing down both Caroline and Justine, and then just using sword swing and recovering 20 MP each turn that way. Now, if you saw me VCing in Uquaji, remember that after 10 turns, he gets most of the benefits of his moves, and only on turn 20 or afterwards he can turn into Ragnarok form. However, the fact that he has that Sunrise Sunset does give a triple boost to your team, power, int, and speed plus 50, and once he's in Ragnarok form, he can give himself plus 100%. But in this case, we really want to just boost Aldo. You will see Uquaji in the fight much later in the video to kind of finish off the twins, which was actually the sole purpose of filming this, I actually came up with this idea like, oh, Uquaji really doesn't do much. I really didn't do him justice in showing the full capabilities of him, being that really all he's doing is healing in the back, and his damage capability when I did show him wasn't doing much. And I also realized this as I was doing this video, a couple of things that if you don't use Aldo very much, there are things that you really don't get used to. For example, the fact that if one twin is down, for example, I think the enemy numbers actually does not work. Also, a quick reminder that the X slash does give type attack or damage plus 30% to your moves. And so when you just use, for example, the Dragon God slash, you won't get that damage increase. And so X slash is definitely the preferred move for this fight. However, there are some tricks when you do solo fights against these twins. Remember that Carolyn is the faster of the two and also applies pain. And so on phases 1 and 3, make sure you knock her down first, because if you kill her and kill Justine at the same time, you bring them to the HP stopper, they'll crack the zone as well as bring you down to like 1% or less HP. And if you have pain status up, guess what? You're going to die from pain status. So just make sure that if you are fighting this, kill on phases 1 and 3 where they do physical attacks, Carolyn can apply pain status to your team. So in this case, I did end up killing her first and then slowly wearing down the other. In the case of phase 2, because Justine actually removes status, it's easier to finish phase 2 here by killing off Justine first. And of course, you wouldn't know this if you hadn't fought this fight before. Like, I was actually reviewing my original fight against the twins. I think it was almost 20 minutes long. And since then, obviously, you can do 2 turn, 3 turn, 1 turn. You can do solo with Eva, for example, so on and so forth. But, we still have Aldo. And of course, my Aldo is 255 light. And so he does have quite a bit of power. However, really, he doesn't hold a candle to some of the newer gadget units out there. His damage at most is in the millions here, and you know that Eva can do multi-millions in the first fight. Same with things like Flam, where, when I bring her around in, dungeons and stuff, she can do 20 million very easily because she has preemptive break and just do a lot of damage. But that being said, Aldo's the main character. I really hope they continue to boost him with the likes of the Ogre Rancorum Light and the sword. Remember that when you do Origin Force and you apply almost 3 stacks on the enemy, those red orbs there, it does do a dual debuff on the enemy that stays permanently. They can't dispel it, which is great. You can see that Justine could not dispel that. And so these are the things that, if you just use your gadget units and kind of forgotten some of your main characters, it's good to know that in free-to-play strats, as well as, sometimes you just need that extra debuff. You do have Aldo doing his thing if needed. And remember that fire is still a very powerful element. You can add him to your fire type team. Yeah, Fire Zone Grasto if you get that from Boss Rush. And even with more powerful gadget units, Aldo can still serve some benefit. Remember, his VC also does that 35% power, 35% physical resistance. Anyways, back to the fight. Notice that when we do kill off one twin, you actually have end of turn heal only 5,600. That's another mechanic I wasn't really sure about. When you have both twins up, I think you can heal upwards of 12,000. And maybe someone who's more into the advanced strats can kind of show me why that's the case. But that being said, you're healing more than 4,000, which is his full life. That is one of the great advantages of having an Uquaji in the back. There you go, another 5,600. And let's try to beat this part, very, very quickly. So if you're wondering what my strategy was going into this fight, I tried to make sure I had near full MP by the end of each phase. And the reason for that is otherwise you're just stalling and wasting a lot of time. If you watch through this video, even in the beginning and later on in this video as well, I do have to use Sword Swing many turns in order kind of to regenerate that slow 20 MP per turn. See, after both twins are up, you now heal for 12k, which is more than HP than necessary. But, it doesn't really matter. You're healing all the way. He's not going to die, and this is one other thing I would like to kind of share with you as I was doing this fight, this is really the ultimate stall strat. I mean, if you have a good team, and this is only a solo team, I'm sure you can heal even more than that. You can heal, you know, your full team. You can have 4 people up front. You can just mitigate with shields and so on and so forth. And once you have enough AF bar or enough damage, you can just one-shot kill the enemy through the HP stopper and so on and so forth. So yeah, stall strats are certainly not meta nowadays. You can clear everything in 1 or 2 turns. Everyone's about cool damage, the ultimate damage, and I will say I like doing quick clears as well, low turn clears. However, you know, part of RPGs in general is kind of like solving puzzles. And for me, this was a cool puzzle to solve, kind of testing the limits of both Uquaji's heal as well as kind of resisting damage with Aldo. Keep in mind that if you don't have 255 Aldo with 4 Grasta slots and 2 badges, your damage is going to be extremely low. I think the original fight for the guy in Japan, or the person in Japan, soloing only with without Uquaji was like a couple hours long, and they sped up the video. I could be totally wrong about this. However, in this fight, it didn't take too long, about 20 minutes or so, and not to say I was proud of it, but it certainly was fun experimenting with this. It took me about, you know, I would say 20-25 tries to kind of get the right rotation out, because part of the thing is I haven't fought the twins for so long, and remember, if you low turn clear, you're not taking any damage, and that's one thing that's more of a challenge with a stall strat like this. Stalling is more about mitigating the damage, making sure you have all your resources like your MP and HP you know, high enough to kind of complete the task, knowing when to activate an AF, for example, and wearing down the enemy while keeping your resources up. So, you know, it's almost like, in this case, with enough mitigation, you're having an infinite cycle. The great thing about Uquaji, and I did mention this in my 5-star review as well, he heals unlimited every turn. That means no MP cost, no nothing, so on and so forth. And so because of that, you are you know, you can do whatever you want as long as you wear it down. If I wanted to poke at it with a sword swing, I'm sure I could already win the game like that. But who wants to watch a 3 or 4 hour video, right? Oh man. Okay. Anyways, back to the action here. Well, not much action. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this video. If you want to see more videos like this, maybe not so long, but just me sharing my random thoughts and my random kind of brainstorming about doing cool, unique fights like this, or just your thoughts in general about the state of the game, free units versus gacha units. I think I did share my thoughts about free versus gacha units in a previous video when I was talking about my farming results. But, you know, I definitely want to say that using free units, although a little bit more restrictive, has a little bit of fun, especially if you're using, I'll dare to say, lesser powerful units such as just Aldo by himself. He is still really good, very versatile, but let's be honest, his damage mod is not high, and squeezing out every bit of damage while trying to survive is one of the interesting parts about this fight. Okay, so knowing that in phase 3 of the twins, the twins alternate between physical attacks and elemental attacks, then you really, again, want to take down Carolyn and wear her down. Remember that because they did the Kunda and healed full heal, it's going to take a lot longer to wear down the enemy, because, you know, when they heal back up to 60-something million, instead of only have to cut off like 16 million, you have to do a ton of damage, like another 40-something million. With pain up, you can certainly do, you know, 1.5 million or so through slashing. And so one of the interesting strategies is to just poke it until you have pain, and then use your MP moves. That way you can you know, kind of retain and recover your MP while waiting for the right opportunity to deal more damage, and then therefore cut down on the turn time. Now, I know a lot of you are waiting for Uquaji to come out. He is going to come out at the end of the 3rd HP stopper, and that way you can see him in action. We're going to use a full AF bar and clear the twins in the last fight, and you can see his full capability in comparison to someone like Aldo. Surprisingly, his damage is quite good once you get him that far, but like I said in my 5-star video, who's going to wait 20 turns to win unless you want to do a stall strat? And honestly, I don't think anyone has 20-25 minutes to just do a single fight. Doesn't everyone want to end it in like 60 seconds, 30 seconds? Alright. Keep on slashing. And of course, you can see the big difference in when you have someone with pain active versus no pain active. For those of my subscribers who are relatively new to the game and can't do things like this just yet, remember that the Grasta system is the most instrumental part of the game in maximizing your damage. Getting new gadget units is going to help because you start off with a higher damage modifier, more moves, more cool abilities, but without the ability to take advantage of pain and poison Grasta, and the associated Grasta ores such as Bullseye, enemy numbers, MP consumption, or the likes of those. Even in this fight, one of the key aspects was a Grasta ore called Occasional Power Down. If I did not land a power down on the first move or the first turn, I would have already lost. The fact is, even with Origin Force, it is not enough to mitigate all the damage. I needed at least one of the twins to have the power down, and you can see occasionally that as I'm attacking either with my AoEs or with my single target, even my normal poking with the sword swing, it does apply occasional power down, which allows me to mitigate enough of the damage. Now, with enough stacks of Origin Force, the magic attacks don't do nearly as much damage. I don't know if you fought this before, back in the day, like one of the OG fights. I think unmitigated in Magic Zone, it did over 10k, and I was not able to mitigate the fight, and I kept on losing over and over again, getting a lot frustrated during those first few runs long time ago. It does keep me humble to kind of try this again with more and more restrictions. Again, it's not the most elegant clear, it's not the coolest clear, I think, but it does show some of the mechanics that I really did enjoy playing with back in the day before all the power creep out there. Alright, so back to the fight. Now we've taken down Carolyn. Like I said, the reason why is we don't want to have pain status be after the HP stoppers, otherwise that 800 pain damage will kill us. In this case, the pain status is not permanent, it will fade, and so we're going to just wait it out, slowly poke away at Justine until we have a decent amount of MP, and we can then proceed to the last HP stopper. Okay, on another note, I know that the content is going to be quite slow for Eden coming out in the next few weeks. I think AS Sora should be coming out with Aisha sometime in the next week or so. That'll be kind of cool. I mean, we'll have some new content in order to get Aisha for free. The content, I don't believe, is very hard. I think it's just like a storyline kind of thing. And for most of us, I'm sure you are all aware that I highly don't recommend summoning on AS forms of units that only have a 4-star form without 5-star. And so most of us are going to be passing on AS Sora. And then after that, if you watch the upcoming content for the banners, there's not going to be a lot of cool things out there. I think, again, spoiler alert, I believe there's going to be ES Claude, there's going to be AS Cynthia, there's going to be, is that AS Biaka, I think? And then maybe AS Nekoko. So, you know, depending on how far along your team and roster has become, you might not need to summon for any of those units. I'm sure that if you've been following the channel for a long time and you've been following some of my strategy summons and kind of like my strategies for maintaining or kind of conserving chronostones, especially the video on the reality of a free-to-play, you should be in pretty good shape for the next couple of months. So the game is going to quiet down. I'm sure that a lot of you are already playing other games, either main games or side games, and putting Eden to the side. As for myself, a lot of you has asked whether or not I'm going to take up a new game like Octopath, or just what my thoughts are as to whether I will continue playing this game. And I will always be supporting another Eden until such time that they either discontinue the game or maybe put out, for example, another Eden 2 if they ever have it. I know that in Japan they have the Heaven Burns Red, which I hear is doing quite well. Similar kind of engine and fighting scheme to another Eden. I'm imagining similar kind of gacha system. If it is, I'm certainly on board with playing that one, only because this is one of the few gacha games that I'm aware of where, as a free-to-play, I can get close to, if not completely get all the gacha units out there. Now, when I first started the game, long time ago, 3.5 years ago, it was extremely difficult. I only had like 1 or 2 gacha units. Difficulty of the content was very frustrating, took up a lot of time. As they have evolved, the requirement to summon on units is not nearly as high, and I would dare say that if you're really strict, you can probably pass on a bunch of banners in a row, rely on strictly free-to-play strats that are put out by other more capable players than myself, and then eventually just retool your team such that you can summon on all the more powerful units after that. Now, I certainly wouldn't advise that because, let's be honest, we're still chasing our own waifus, we're still chasing cool mechanics and stuff like that. You wouldn't be passing on the next global first unit if it does come out in a few months. Stuff like that. Alright, so we are back to the fight. I think we are slowly wearing down Justine, hoping that this video is not boring you to death. Again, we are poking at Justine with our sword swing, making sure that we have pain status up before we apply the X slash to maximize our damage. We are conserving our AF bar because my strategy in this case is, again, I'm very familiar with this fight. I'm going to try to time my VC of Uquaji right here, land Dragon God Slash. Now, Ragnarok has now activated, and you can clearly see 9999s across the board, as well as full recovery. And so what I did is I X slashed after Dragon God Slash in preparation of doing a final AF here after the HP stopper, because here we are. We are now down to 1% HP. If I don't succeed in this AF, I'm going to die. Dual die. Really, this is it, everyone. And so I did already cast Sunrise Sunset when Uquaji came in while the X slash killed off Justine, and that takes a little bit of timing to know exactly kind of when the HP stopper is going to occur. Let's go. Blast, blast, blast. Watch this. Geyser Crush 8 million outside AF. His Grasta is not even that great. And we just barely finished off Blast, blast, blast. That was kind of fun, actually. And as I said many times, the AF finisher should not be Ochre Rancorum. It should be the fist from God's heaven, smashing down on everyone, just like when we got kicked in the butt during those 190 and 195 fights. Okay, so twins are done. They're good sports in letting me beat them. Again, the very first time I was not cocky when I beat them. However, nowadays, honestly, I'm a little bit cocky in beating the twins. They are certainly a cool challenge, but not nearly the deathly, stressful challenge that it was in the past. Okay, so here's the loadout for my Aldo. Tons of power using the Glimmer Bangle from the Time Twisted Maze to enhance his damage. And make sure you do have power down. You also have bullseye enemy numbers. He needs to apply pain because there's no one else to do so. And the Finding Uquaji, our second star, does quite a bit of damage and mostly there to heal, although actually capable of helping you end the game. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.